We're starting this session laying down on our backs in our narrow parallel, and we're going to open with pelvic clock. As always, you've got a choice as to whether you want your head to be slightly supported. Have a moment to consider really pelvis and ribcage and their relationship, which would involve where's your lower back, how's that feeling? And then just with the arms relaxed beside you, you're going to start with your opening tilt between 6 and 12. So notice as you move the pelvis between 6 and 12, how that feels through the lower back. Notice what the ribs do as you move to 6 and 12 as well. You could, if you wanted to, exhale as you tilt the pelvis towards the rib cage and inhale to rock the pelvis away. And if ever you feel that as an opener, pelvic clock is quite quick, I would advise that you do slow it down by attaching breath. So notice how you're moving, whether you're trying to race through as an opener, and if you are, then attach some breath to it and it will slow you down. Settle the pelvis somewhere in the middle of these two ranges. Where you settle it, you should feel that there is slack to continue to move away to 12. There's slack to continue to move to 6. You've got some room both sides. And then you're going to come into your 3 and 9. So imagining that you drop just off the side of centrally, which is going to give you the idea of coming side to side with the pelvis. And as you know, it is just your pelvis, so look at whether there's a response from the legs. You know that that is allowed so far as creating a feeling of thigh bone moving away from you. You want to really avoid that swing side to side leg action. The more the legs move, the more the lower back gets involved. And you're looking at really trying to create this torsioned pelvis below the lower back segments without overly involving them into the process. And then the movement progresses, so you could center yourself off when you feel like you've done an even amount, and the movement progresses into circling the pelvis around the lower back segment. So if you start towards your 6, and then circling to 9 first, take the pelvis, and again, you've just come off the side of center, so you'll go straight away from you to 12, across to 3, and then back to 6. So over you go to one side, circling the pelvis away from you. As much as you can, notice how the rest of the body reacts to the pelvic movement. So pelvis and head particularly, two ends of the spine, and really they should move relatively with each other. So if you feel pretty rigid through the neck and the back of the head, you need to try and just relax through the spinal segments a little bit more. Keep thinking about dropping down into your mat. And when you find yourself back at 6 again, whenever that may be, you're going to centralize the pelvis. Just take a moment to notice. Come back to 6 and start to circle in the opposite direction. So going across to 3 and to 12 and to 9. And really, it wouldn't matter which direction you started in here. You could have started moving in this direction, and then at the time to switch, you could have started to rotate in the other direction. Notice how the back of the head's moving. Try not to overthink it, but it is doing something as well. Once again, coming into finishing at 6 next time you get here, and then coming out of 6, imagine you lay the sacrum and the top of the tailbone onto your mat and just notice how that feels. So maybe a little bit of heat generated through the lower back segments. Again, you could be on a head cushion through that, so you can notice that the front ribs are softening a little for you. We're coming into arm arcs from here, so mobilizing through the shoulders, you'll breathe in and lift the arms up and back, and exhale to bring them all the way back down again. And you will know again that if you want to mobilize within the shoulders, you've got to allow them to move. So imagine the shoulder blades just resting on the back. As you inhale, allow them to move away and up. And as you exhale, they'll move back down and towards each other and settle again. So just plenty of movement. Inhaling, the upper arms are long and lengthened, and then exhaling to return. If you could picture breathing into the back of the rib cage, it helps improve how well you're moving, so far as are you just using your shoulders. So it helps you place the breath into the back of the body, keeps the ribs from getting too involved. And last one. Again, you could always do more depending on how it felt for you, and then you'll take your fingers to the ceiling. So you're going to breathe in here and open the arms out wide to the side, and breathe out and take them back up towards the ceiling. Inhaling, I want you to think about the movement starting in the center of your chest. And as you breathe in, the sternum expands out with the collarbones to take you into that open movement, and exhale to return. Ideally, you're looking for vertical arms once they come back to the ceiling each time. Difficult to establish when you're laying on your back, but just notice where the fingertips are finishing. What are they directly above? Can you tell? From here, we're just going to pause with the arms and keep them out to the sides. You're going to part your feet a little wider unusually, and you're still going to try and keep them in a relative parallel. We're going to come into a version of side to side and chalk circles. So as you breathe out, you just allow your legs to sway to one side. Notice how that feels. Inhale when you're here, and exhale to bring them back to the ceiling. Take a breath in as you breathe out, allow the legs to sway to one side. Inhale when you're here, and exhale to return. So the breath out as you move is there and designed to help you relax. Notice what sort of positions your feet are getting into. Can you let them relax as well enough that as you go, the first leg has the opportunity to get closer and closer to the floor. So you're moving on your breath out. So the first leg, that's getting to the ground. So if I'm swaying to the right, I'm considering my right leg here. You want to feel that it can completely relax. As you would with side to side with your knees and feet together, your arms are wide and away from your body so that you can keep this opposite shoulder blade connected to the floor. The second leg that moves, just relax it, don't force it. It doesn't actually have to be anywhere other than a relaxed ankle. So you're edging on your feet. You'll be on the inner border of one and on the outer border of the other. What you're going to do from here is, again, allow the legs to move to the side in a relaxed way. So you're looking at really trying to let go through the front, any tightness you might feel through their hip, whether that's at the back, side or front. Can you continue to think about letting go there? You're going to breathe in the next time you swayed, and as you breathe out, The shoulder blade that you would intend to keep on the floor here, you're going to lift that arm, it comes up and over. You start to peel the shoulder blade away from the floor, and that circling of the arm brings you onto your sides. Again, legs are relaxed, not particularly formalised or specific as to where they get to. As you breathe out again, start to open the arm again, spread the chest and the collarbones into the floor, and then allow the knees to return. So it really should feel like you're unravelling. You're winding the spine up here, you'll take a breath in, you'll lift the arm and you'll come up and over and bring yourself onto your side. Relaxed, you'll inhale here as well. And as you exhale, trace those fingers on the floor, looking from the back body. Could you drop shoulder blade, spine, shoulder blade? And then bring your knees back up towards the ceiling. A couple more of these, but again, could do more if you wanted to. So a few pointers still. Keep relaxing your feet. Keep relaxing your ankles. Shoulder blade, spine, shoulder blade brings me back. Could I drop into the floor a little bit more? And I'm on a little head cushion, but actually the movement doesn't require a cushion at all. So not needed, but I've just been on my little cushion from the start, hence why I'm still here. And then bringing yourself back onto your back. If you bring your knees back into their narrow parallel, your starting position, always good to double check that you've created room enough for your shoulder blades, your ribs and your pelvis to come back onto the floor. And then if you take your fingers to the ceiling, we're going to finish off with that third arm movement, whereby you breathe out, the backs of the shoulder blades, we just use them, move away from the floor, notice how that feels, and then you inhale and you widen through the collarbones. Exhaling, how is it? And inhaling. So hopefully you've really loosened up through the upper body already, having done an element of rotation and mobility through the whole shoulder girdle, as well as that winding up of the spine and unravelling of the spine. You might therefore find that this has got a little bit more ease about it, doesn't feel so abrupt. And just a pointer on the abruptness, you're calling it shoulder drops, yes, but the action doesn't really drop. It's more of a squeeze if you're looking for some sort of description as to how you should be moving. Just as you do these last few, just notice that as the shoulder blades move away from the floor, the center of you, sternum, bottom ribs, maybe even the top of the rectus here, feels like it draws back. That would be a good sensation to feel, because it's going to set you up for chest lift in a moment. And then just a few more, thinking just that, blades, sternum softens back, and back you are. Hands for chest lift, I've been doing in class recently, coming to a completely different position to what we've been doing. So backs of the hands will draw together to touch each other, and then insides of hands or thumbs are on either side of your sternum, elbows are bent. You're looking to create a feeling of space in the neck just as you're waiting. You'll take a breath in, breathing into the back of the body, but notice that the sternum does move. So inhaling and exhaling. Get a sense via the feedback of your hands on the sternum when it starts to soften. And that's going to be your cue for picking up the back of the head. So breathing in, sternum softens, drive the elbows forwards, and then inhale to lay yourself back down again. Exhale, sternum, drive the elbows forwards, and I'm going to give myself a little bit more room to come back down and take my head cushion away. Exhaling, sternum, and inhaling, to lay myself back down again. There's a requirement to send some energy into the elbows. They're pulling the blades gently away from the spine as you curl up here. If, as you do these last few, you prefer to return to original version where you've got your hands behind your head, that would be fine to mix that up. Otherwise, when you're back down here, you're staying down and you can bring your arms down beside you on your mat. So I'm going to place my arms on the mat with the little finger side of the hand. It gives me a little bit more openness in the chest. And I'm going to bridge here. So as you breathe out, this sternum is going to drop once more as you stand down into your feet. You hover the pelvis, start to scoop forwards and up. And just a pointer here on what I've been seeing in class, the pelvis rolls backwards, so wind the pelvis back to 6. Inhale up at the top of the bridge here, and as you breathe out, sternum softens, back ribs spread, sit bones widen, and you find that you bring yourself all the way back down, just as if the spine dropped through the outer body. Exhaling, sternum, standing, hovering, scooping and lifting. Inhale when you're up here. And as you exhale, soften, widen. Let the spine fall back to the floor and start again. 2 more, exhaling. Up at the top here, there's a feeling of sacrum, back of pelvis there, up, sternum, down. Inhale when you're up, exhale, sternum falls between the blades, ribs spread, sit bones part. Last one. Take a breath in, up the top, sacrum high, sternum falls, and you return. We're going to come into hamstring prep, followed by leg circles, followed by climb a tree. And climb a tree is going to prep you for something down the line called single straight leg stretch. But if you take your band for hamstring prep, or your yoga strap, or your tights, or whatever you've been working with here, and bring the elbows down towards the floor. Inhale, relaxing the front of the ankle. Exhale to send the sole of the foot away. Breath in and breath out. Inhaling and exhaling. Notice how this is. Can you keep a sense of width across the collarbones? Pretty tight grip on the band. You do want to be working with a strong resistance if you can. Something that also enables the flexion, but you have to work against in order to get the extension in all of those joints, particularly knees and hips. After you've done this last one, your leg circles this week are small leg circles. Again, you're working with some resistance here, so you want the band to feel like it's really drawing the thigh bone into the socket. The movement is smaller, which means there's not much let up so far as hamstring. You do around 6 of them and then change direction. Try and stay in parallel. Notice the sort of twitchiness at the back of the leg. Whether it's bent or straight, you're going to notice neurologically you're changing positions, you're going to get different sensations dependent on where you are in your circle, but it's all small stuff. After you've done this last one, you're going to stand into the band. Nice quick switch to the other leg. Reach the leg long that you just worked and come into inhaling to bend and exhaling to lengthen away. A little bit of give through the front of the ankle and exhale. If you're finding it difficult to increase the ankle flexion, you could go slightly looser on the band, but take the band more towards the ball of the foot, which encourages a bit more flexion, but you probably wouldn't want to work too strongly with the resistance to begin with. And then keeping the circle small and keeping a sense of the tautness on the band, drawing the thigh bone a little deeper into the socket, you're going to start to circle the legs. Much less of a challenge for stability through the pelvis. So you'll notice there's no real inclination for it to move side to side, and your elbows are helping out a little with that. And we're pausing there. So if you take your bands away now and pop it to the side. So your prep for single leg stretch will start with the first leg raised, and it doesn't matter whether the leg is slightly bent or whether you're managing to straighten it out and away from you. So this is climb a tree. It involves the softening through the sternum, the nod of the chin to the chest, and then you walk your hands up the back of the leg. So as you breathe out, softening, start to flex. Take hold of the back of the leg, but you want to feel that the back of the leg is going to move forward for you as well. You're coming up high, maybe giving that hamstring more of a stretch, but again, it could be bent. Holding the position, feel like you drop the front body away so you open the spine behind you more, and then you'll lay yourself all the way back down again. Take the other leg up towards the ceiling again. It could be slightly bent. It doesn't have to be vertical. Just use what you have. As you breathe out, it's a chest lift, sternum, ribs. You take hold of the back of the leg. You're going to walk up it, maybe 1 or 2 walks. You want to feel that you get somewhere where you could hold the leg, maybe even straighten the arms, and the leg needs to be pushing away from you. And then as a reciprocal, the front of the body drops away from that pushing away from you. So you're going to try and open the back of the body a little more and then lay yourself down. So you let go and lay down simultaneously. First leg goes up, breathing out, nodding chin to chest, walking up back of leg. Just going to get you used to how far can I hold up there. So if my leg would bend, I could probably get a little bit further up to the ankle. But then could I straighten the leg, moving it forwards and away, drop my front body back even more, holding it to comfort. Notice how easy you are in the neck, and then lay yourself down. We're going to do one more here. Leg lifts to whatever height it's going to lift to. And as you breathe out, nod your chin to your chest and start to walk up. I'll do the same version on this side that I did on the other. I bent the leg in, held higher on the ankle, sent the leg away from me. So arrow this way, arrow back to me so far as upper body, and then lay yourself down. From here, you're going to bring your knees into your chest. As you breathe out, legs go forward, chin nods to chest, and you're rolling self up. And this is going to start you into a sequence of rolling down and rolling up, and then bring you into your single straight leg stretch, you know, the one where we've practiced right from the start of the series. So exhaling, feet go down and forward, start to tilt the pelvis. dial on the side of the hips, continuing to tilt back to 6. You want to feel the central bone before the lower back segments to bring you onto your back. Exhaling, legs go forward, chin goes to chest. And if you still find that organisation is not quite connecting well, there's flatter parts of the spine, what I would suggest you do as your version is tilt, continue to wind, continue to wind. Notice as the legs move, what point do you start to drop back quickly? Where do you increase your pace? Could you hold it there? And as you breathe out, could you send the legs forward again without coming all the way down towards the floor? And what you'll begin to do is open up the flatter parts of the spine so they're more curved, which is then going to help sequence you better on the way back up each time. So breathing out and tilting. Play around with a level that you feel you can gauge your own improvement on. Could I get back up from here? If I feel I could, because the process of going down is quite smooth, and if it is, there is really no reason why you can't get back up again. This one's going to take you down into single leg stretch. So as you breathe out, feet go down and forwards and you're tilting. You'll draw your feet towards you again when you need to. But you won't lay the whole upper body down. It's open and it's prepped, but it's not going to lay all the way down. Thighs come to vertical position, and you bring one knee in and you take one arm down the outside of the ankle. As you exhale, you switch and you switch. 3, 4, big toe replaces big toe. We've gone to 8. We're going to do 2 more and reach there. So you can bring your knees into your chest, lay yourself down, and we're going to come into our regular side-to-side sequence, but just pick up the pace a little. Exhale to sway and inhale to return. Exhale to sway and inhale to return. Again, your idea would be the same to maintain shoulder blade connection. So that's always going to be opposite to the way in which the knees travel. And then from here, the next time the legs sway towards the screen, come and bring yourself into side lift. Now we looked at this from 2 angles in last week's video, so see if you can use that image of how you're setting up. Elbow right below the shoulder, knees in line, lower legs behind you. Collarbone is wide on this side, and if it feels restricted, I would definitely suggest you just move the palm outwards very fractionally so you get a little bit more into the back of you. You'll take a breath in, and as you breathe out, down with the elbow, lifting up with the armpit and the ribs. The extra sense of pelvis moving forwards really helps with lift, as does the arm. Inhale when you're up here and exhale to come back down again. If it feels really solid, stay here. Exhale down and lift. Hips as well. Feel that, again, integration of ribs to pelvis. Pelvis comes forwards and exhale to come back again. One more, exhaling. If it feels like you could progress, this is going to be our 3rd and final. You could move into a straight-legged version the next time we do this, and then exhaling to lower yourself down. As we've been doing, you're laying down onto your side now, and we'll come into side lying. So hand is on the hip, could grab a cushion and place it between the arm and the head if you wanted to. Onto the crest of the hip, parting the knees. Inhale, swinging forward, and exhale, swooping back. Inhale, Imagine you're laying on your back. You're going to breathe into the back ribs as you swing the leg forward. Inhale, back here. Exhale, all through the front. Inhale, back here. Exhale, settling ribs. 2 more. And then when the leg comes to the back next, it's going to stay to the back. And that's going to bring you into mermaid. So you're in your Z sit, or you could choose to come into a long sit if that were more comfortable. The hand is going to come on either the forehead or the back of the head, depending on how your shoulder reacts to this position. You're ever aware of the hand pulling the chin forward, so think of that throughout. It's another one where you're going to focus on the elbow. So as you breathe in to come up first, what then continues is this arrow out of the elbow, taking you into the side bend. You breathe in when you're here, and as you breathe out, you bring yourself all the way back up again. Inhaling to go up, elbow continues to go up, which means that actually there's not too much pressure downwards through the hands because you're being helped upwards by the other elbow. Exhale to return. Breathing in to go upwards, breathing out to bend over. Inhaling when you're here and exhaling to return. Last one, breath in. All about the elbow. Be aware of hand to head. See if you can think of it as head to hand. And then bring yourself back up from there. From there, we're coming onto the other side with your side lift. This combination of 3 moves on the side work really well with each other. Knees are a back position, looking down the shoulder to see the elbow, wide through this forearm. If you feel that you're a little bit restricted, if you feel that you're gripping through the pecs here, then definitely come to that move. Remember the pelvis, it's going to help you. You go down to lift up, and it's back of armpit really. As you're lifting and pelvis comes forward, arm going to ceiling. Take a breath in when you're up, and then breathe out to bring you all the way back down again. Exhaling down to come up. Feel like the whole back of the shoulder moves down with the elbow. That you're fully connected into how you're getting here and what you're using in order to get you here. So it's all of this really good organisation. Breathing out, how you move downwards and upwards at the same time. Elbow and armpit. Once you've lowered down there, you're going to lay yourself down, knees bent. And coming onto the hip. And you part your knees. Make sure you feel organised. So if you don't feel like you're quite ready transition wise, then take your time, figure it out. It is so much about how you organise your position before you even move really, what you're practicing, and you'll always self-check that in order to get some just optimum shapes, optimum positions and alignment, which is going to really enable you to transform your movement patterns. Inhaling into the back of the ribs here. Exhaling as much as you can. Consider getting rid of that air through the front. You definitely begin to feel more leg, front, back. And I quite like this pace to be uneven, that you're really using all of your breath out to come back. So you may be spending some more time on the journey backwards. Once the leg's back next, you're going to push up and bring yourself up into your Z sit Again, take your time establishing the position, noticing how it feels. You could come into a long sit. You could also come to sit up on something, a chair or something like that if you wanted to. Choice of arms depending on how you're feeling. That reminder of, if it's tight especially, you by unawares could be pushing your head forward. So inhale, you're going to go up, and then exhale, the elbow goes up a little bit higher. Because it's continuing to reach upwards, you're managing to continue to bend. Breath in when you're here, and breath out to bring yourself back up again. Breathe in to go up. Breathe out, elbow reaching upwards. Inhale when you're here, and then exhale to return. Inhale, up and out through the crown. Elbow goes up, elbow goes up, elbow goes up. So don't think too much about I've got to go down onto this arm. Think about I've got to go up with the other elbow. I think we got to 5 on the other side, so let's look at completing a set of 5 here, 2 as well. And that's going to bring you all the way up. So always an even number depending on where you've got to. From here we're going to come into our hands and knees position. Just look at our quadruped, because we're going to take this idea of how we're moving into swimming, laying down on our front. So you've got your organisation. I'm just going to move myself forward because I am going to slide one leg back. I don't want to get stuck at the other end of the mat. So as we did last week, you'll breathe out and you'll push down into the floor with right hand and left knee, and then you'll inhale and relax off there. So exhaling, pushing down into mat with left hand and right knee, and inhale to relax from there. Exhaling down with right and left. You feel that the knee comes down into the floor from somewhere back here. Exhaling left and right. Can you find that connection? It's more than just your knee. There isn't, however, that sway side to side. And again, last week's video, there's an angle of this where you can see from the front, just so I can really demonstrate that to you, that there's no big swaying action side to side. And the reason why there's no big swaying action side to side is because from here, the next time you push down, so I'm right hand, left knee pushing down, I'm going to notice that there's some lightness in the other knee and in the other hand, and they're going to slide away from me. They're going to go to straight arm and straight leg, and then I'm going to fold and bring back. And the challenge is, ideally, that if you can push down into the floor with one hand and one knee, thinking about that coming from the back, and you create this sort of lightness with the other knee and hand, that you should be able to slide them again without disrupting your body position. You want to feel that if there were a line straight down the middle of your mat, your nose, your sternum, your navel, the front of the pelvis would all still be directly above it as you reached your arm and leg away from each other. And I tend to apply a little bit of pressure, just a little bit, to the fingers as they move away from me, rather than lift and waver up here somewhere straight away. I'm also not keen on lifting and lowering the legs. I just want you to feel that from the back of the body, the left hand is connected from the pelvis to the back of the right leg and sliding back in. And same here on this side. As I push down and slide away, I want you to think about the right hand up the back, back of shoulder, across here into back of hip is connected into the back of the left leg, sliding underneath. With that in mind, you're going to come down for a little bit of extension first in dart, and then we're going to advance that concept into something called swimming. So if you lay yourself down initially, walk your legs away from the pelvis, checking you've got room front and back, and I am going to straighten my arms out at some point, so to avoid you having to reposition, check you've got room now. I'm going to start with a little head cushion underneath my forehead,
Just prevents me from coming into too much of a forward head posture. You could just keep the head at a hover. Now if you inhale and reach your big toes away from you as you lengthen through the upper spine, widen the collarbone and continue to send the sternum forward, and then exhale to return. So extension through this middle part of spine, sternum, inhaling, is really challenging. And it's challenging to work it from a prone position, which is where we are now, laying on our front. Inhaling, big toes, lengthen, widen, and exhale. And last one, inhaling. Chest broadens, so collarbones widen there. And then you exhale and bring yourself all the way down again. I'm going to keep my head cushion, but I'm just going to move it lengthways just so it's out of the way. And I'm going to straighten my arms out in front of me. So I've positioned my arms so that the palms are facing in towards each other, as if I'm on my back, and I've done a huge arm arc. So really this is where I'm at. So that would mean that my thumbs are facing the ceiling. What I'm going to do is think about that downward from my hands and knees, and I'm going to come down into the floor with the right hand and the left foot. And as I do that, I'm going to visualize that connection from the back of the pelvis, reach the left fingers long, lift the left thumb and reach the right big toe long. And then I'm going to rest down again. Same thing on the other side. The limbs that just went up have to now go down. And then they go down and you can reach your fingers away from your big toe. You're leading up to the ceiling with the thumb and rest down again. Now, some people find that a huge amount of work in the shoulders, and that would be right. Keep thinking about a downward before an upwards. If it's too much work in the shoulders, then you lift the head up and away from the floor and cushion, and you reach long, and you're up there, and you're going to find that the shoulders don't feel like they're being overly worked. They've still got some work in them. Arm and leg go down. Arm and leg reach away long, and think about them coming from the back of the pelvis. So back of the pelvis in both directions. So we're going to progress this movement over the coming weeks. Pick up the pace and move it into this slightly more extended position. Do two more, reaching long. Definitely want to feel that you're tilting slightly to 6 if you begin to feel movement through the lower back. 3 and 9 feel quite lifted, and then you can relax yourself all the way back down again. From here you're going to come into a child's pose, something that's rounded. You could come onto your back and bring your knees into your chest. If that were better for you, I'm just going to use the floor and really open up through the back of the body. Breathing in behind me, rounding, breathing out and relaxing. So child's pose is about flexing, rounding, curving, and you're always looking for a distribution of curve through the spine. So you want to be looking at generating even curvature wherever you are. So using the hands, noticing where you need to open up a little bit more, whatever that may be. And then from here, we're going to come up to stand, do some roll downs, and you'll have an option to walk out into a plank as well. So bringing yourself up, and I'll move myself back so just get a little bit more of me in view. Narrow parallel of your feet. You can take a breath in, and as you breathe out, chin begins to nod, sternum softens. Nice and relaxed there. Let go of the arms and the head. The more you roll downwards towards the floor, the more you sense the weight through the hands, through the head and the shoulders, taking you down. Soften your knees when you're down here. I would advise that. And you can soften your knees and keep your hips high, which basically means that the tension through the hamstring isn't actually lessened. If you lowered your pelvis, then of course, yes, but think about the weight being a little bit more towards the front of the foot and soften. And then as you breathe out, you could gradually send the heels downwards. Imagine that you're lifting the front body away from your t-shirt. And that's going to unravel and bring you all the way back up again. So standing roll downs I love to do really slowly. Heavy hands, noticing where they become heavier. Allowing them to become heavier still really, so that you are quite relaxed. Even head is dropping away from jaw, jaw from neck, neck from spine, and then soften your knees when you're down here. Take a breath in, the weight could be slightly more towards the balls of the feet. You're pretty close to the floor with the fingers there, so you've got some support should you need it. And then we're going to do a couple of these and walk out into a plank as an option. Know that the couple that you do still want to demonstrate that ability to let go, to be relaxed as you're coming down, so almost ignore the fact that you are coming out. Heavy head, really nice gentle traction through the neck, and you might even feel the upper spine beginning to release as well. Walking out into plank now, you need your legs, so it's really important that you have wakened the toes and the balls of the feet, and they're pushing long and away from you. You're super strong through the hamstrings. Did you find the diagonal? Send your heels backwards and then downwards as you walk back to your feet. You get back here, and again, I'm keen on a soft knee, so that when you breathe out, you could send the heels down more as you lift here, so the apex of you lifts away from the arches of the feet. This is going to be your last one. Exhaling. Just a little tip, by the time you get to the bottom, staying in your legs. You need your legs for any sort of press up position, any sort of plank position. You need your feet to be strong down into the floor. But notice as you walk out, the pelvis lowers at the same rate that the back of the head lifts up. And if they manage to synchronize like that, you should get to that quite powerful, yeah, I definitely know I'm on a diagonal position. Heels go backwards and downwards. Pelvis lifts up. Walking back and softening again. Fingertips on the floor. Knees are bent, but my weight is forward. And boy, do I still feel there's lots of activity down the back here. And then as I breathe out, heels go down, find this apex of myself with straight legs and fully relaxed body, and unravel, bringing yourself all the way back up again. And that's it. We're done, everyone. Well done, and take care.